Hello, kia ora, I'm Philip Duncan. Thank you very much for joining us. Spring lows and spring highs, they are definitely impacting Australia and New Zealand at the moment. High pressure is dominating in the New Zealand area for the next week, bringing drier than average weather for most places. And over in Australia, plenty of low pressure zones. On the wind map today, we've put on the energy, so it sort of highlights in the bright shaded areas, the yellowy white areas, that shows where the winds are at their strongest, the most amount of energy. So you can see we've got a bit of windy weather going around this big high, parked here in the Tasman, light winds for the most part there, but a little bit breezy around sort of Farewell Spit, and we've got the windy weather coming through here around north of the country. In fact, that big southeasterly flow dominates right up into Queensland, where plenty of wet weather is on the way, not just this week, but next week too. And in fact, long range, there is a chance of a tropical cyclone showing up in the long range models now, forming in the Solomon Sea, drifting into the Coral Sea, and might impact Australia at the end of November or start of December as a major tropical storm. But it is too far out to lock in where and who might be impacted by it. But what we can tell you is the modelling is pretty confident at this stage of some sort of storm or low forming. So we've got the confidence of it forming, but don't yet know where it will go. So we'll keep an eye on what forms up here, but this is not an issue this week. It's more towards the end of the month. But highlights with La Nina forming, this area up here is going to be one area to keep a close eye on. Okay, let's get into the forecast now. So Friday, New Zealand's covered with high pressure. It's drifting out to the east. That's going to encourage a northerly flow across the country. So most places that have had a bit of a cool change arrive over the last day or two, that disappears. A warm Friday on the way for most places. Wet to the north, plenty of low pressure forming up here. It's not necessarily a single low, but lower air pressure means more thunderstorms, more downpours. And around Australia, you got these rainmakers smudging around the southern coastline. So as we go into the weekend, not a great deal of change in Australia. Still got these rainmakers hugging the coastline. Not too widespread, not too dramatic, but for some places like Sydney, it could actually impact you a wee bit as we go into the weekend. For New Zealand, with the high further out to the east of the Chatham Islands now, we've got easterlies at the top of the country and northeasterlies elsewhere. So it's going to be mild for most areas, but the very east of the country might be a little bit cooler than you've been, because the easterlies come back with the sea breeze as opposed to that hot westerly that was pushing temperatures up to 30 degrees in areas like Hawke's Bay the other day. By Sunday, the air pressure around New Zealand flattens out a bit. Not really high pressure, not really low pressure, and that encourages this weak system here to move through into the west. So the clouds will build, and there might be a bit of patchy rain or showers around Taranaki, Farewell Spit, that kind of part of the country, central western areas. Also at the south, down around Southland, a few showers coming through for you with a slightly cooler southerly. And over in Australia, a bit of a stormy system there, thunderstorms and strong, maybe even gale force winds wrapping around a low that's moving through into New South Wales and impacting ACT and Victoria as well. And to the north of the country, up here around New Caledonia, a weak low pressure system. So a very active weather map and very different to where we've been in previous years. So let's take a look at next week, how it kicks off. Monday kicks off with that low leaving Australia, but it won't really clear most places till the end of the day in that corner. A new low pressure system, or a couple of them actually, one near Alice Springs, the other one there near Kalgoorlie, and then another low pressure zone near New Caledonia. New Zealand's covered with high pressure for the most part, parked down here near the Antipodes Islands, producing east to southeast winds for the North Island and northeasterlies for the South Island. That means it's going to be pretty warm inland, but eastern areas might be a little bit cooler as we kick off next week. There we go. And finally, on Tuesday of next week, it does look a little bit like La Nina is building, which it is, 70% chance of it forming this summer. And we've got these low pressure zones here, 3 of them surrounding New Zealand with easterlies and northeasterlies. That is textbook La Nina setup. So we've got a few showers, but none of these systems are very significant at this stage. None of them are big rainmakers or storms. The system we're tracking or keeping an eye on is forming up here around the Solomon Islands. So we'll be keeping a very close eye on that over the coming week or two. At this stage though, nothing to worry about just yet. That's all from me. We'll see you again tomorrow Friday with our final update for the week.